and hot.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
You make me laugh. But isn't it that why you come here? So that the guests on this program might make you laugh. You don't come here to rock out to rock and roll music this early in the morning, do you? Oh, yeah. I think you do. Well, good morning, folks. It is Thursday, April 27th, 2023. I tell you what, this has been... March was a nicer month than April weather-wise here. It's been a very gray, not necessarily cold. It's a little chilly. I would like it warmer. But it's just gray, and I don't do well with gray. I get depressed easily. I am one of those seasonal affective disorder type of people. I don't know if that's a real diagnosis. Who the fuck knows in this day and age? They come up with these pop diagnoses. All I know is I'm a much different person, a much happier person when the sun is shining. And the sun's not shining. It's gray. It's rainy. Listen. April showers are supposed to bring May flowers. But the forecast here is just continued gray and cold for the next many days. What do we got here? We're not going to see 60 degrees for the next 10 days. 60. It's going to be May. What, Sunday? Is Sunday the first day of May? Or Monday? I don't know. Wait, today is April 27th. 9:30. Yeah, Sunday. Sunday is May 1st, May Day. So we're going to be a week into May and still not hitting 60 degrees. That's not cool. Well, it is cool, but it's not cool, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Mike Vanderveen from Dayton, Ohio, will be with us today. Mike has been with us before. He is a comedian and singer-songwriter who is very open about some of the things that have happened in his life that may have gone wrong, and it's righted the ship and has a new path. So it'll be interesting to talk to him. He'll be with us in just a few moments. One of the things on Twitter I saw this morning not trending, but whatever they're calling that now, what's happening. And I forgot her name now. A young lady was stripped of her title, runner, stripped of her title and suspended for a month from competition for testing positive for cannabis. Now, if that's against the rules, it's against the rules, and she should be suspended for it. But I really don't think cannabis is a performance-enhancing drug, especially when it comes to running. I can't see how it could be. I could see how it could be for a lot of things. And I'm trying to think of what those things might be. Like if you were shooting free throws and nobody's messing with you, if you're high on cannabis, you might have a little bit of an advantage in the mindset there. And that's a struggle to kind of actually think of an example where cannabis can actually be used as a performance enhancing drug. Here it is. Tara Davis Woodhall has been stripped of a recent national indoor title and hit with a 1-month suspension after testing positive for cannabis. U.S. long jumper Now, that's not running. Long jumping. I assumed it was running because she's in a track outfit. Long jumper. Can cannabis be a performance enhancing drug for long jumpers? That's a good question. I don't see how it could be. It's just interesting to me. I'm sure I'm sure that it is against the rules. And that's the main thing. But why is it against the rules? And maybe they ought to look at that. I think we get caught up too many times, and I kind of alluded to this yesterday, in sticking to the letter of the law, no matter whether it's real law or rules of an organization or something, sticking to the letter of the law rather than the spirit of the law. And this just doesn't seem, I mean, to be to me, to have any to me, it should make her worse at her performance. As somebody who's used cannabis, I can tell you, if you ask me to do something physically that takes some, athletic skill, I'm not saying I will be an athlete, but I will definitely be better at it if I'm not stoned. So maybe they should have given her a shot. Okay, you tested positive for cannabis. Let's test you before an event. If you're, well, I guess you can't do that, right? Because there's no like immediate test, and it stays with you for a long time. But it would just be interesting to see if she outperforms herself completely sober or no cannabis influence whatsoever. I just think there are rules, there's the letter of the law, and there's the spirit of the law. And sometimes you have to take into account the spirit of the law. Is it really truly a performance enhancing drug? I don't think so. But the caveat is I'm not an expert. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And that's one thing that I think we need to kind of continually remind ourselves that we want to, for some reason, and this is psychological in each one of us, and who has the time to do a deep dive into 8 billion people's psyches? We are finding an inclination to argue about things with which we have no expertise, no experience, as if we feel like we should. Sam Harris brought this up with Lex Friedman in podcast recently. Too many people are arguing points they have no credibility on. They really should not be platformed on for any reason because they are not an expert in their field. And I'm so Marjorie Taylor Greene this morning talking about climate change and asking how many governments got involved in melting the glaciers during the Ice Age. The problem with people like her, and I truly believe this, in, and partly she is the fault of society. When we teach kids in school that they're stupid, or we make kids feel like they're not smart, they get through high school and we pass them along. But they all back in their mind is people think I'm stupid. I'm not an A student, not a B student either. Apparently, she's one of these people who graduated high school without ever passing a test that showed she had any reason to be passed in high school. But so she goes through life with that, and now she's an adult, and she feels like I'm going to prove to the world I'm not so stupid now. I'm an adult. I can talk. Yeah, but you're talking shit. And you're talking stupid stuff. And there's this chip on the shoulder of people always thought I was stupid. I'm going to show how smart I am. And the harder they try to show how smart they are, the more they just validate how ignorant and stupid they are. That's the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world. And not to single her out, but this is what we're going through as a society wide systemic, um, just phenomenon where people are just trying too hard to convince the world how smart they are. I had to block a guy on Twitter last night. Now I know this guy. He's part of the Stanhope clique. He's got like I don't know, 50 followers or something on Twitter. Whatever. All in that clique. And he doesn't go by his real name. I'm not going to mention his Twitter handle, but people can figure it out. People who follow me over there. But he's looking for a fight always, as with me, always looking to try to prove to me for some reason how smart he is. And I just couldn't take it anymore. He's always looking for a fight. Coming off on social media as if I said good morning, well, it's not really a good morning. Okay, I'll give you that. It's an okay morning. How about that? Well, you said it was a good morning, and you have no proof that it's a good morning. How dare you say it's a good morning? Oh boy, this is getting exhausting. And so I had to block a guy for that last night. But he's not alone in this, and why he picked on me. There's a whole other, Again, I'm not a psychiatrist, and I don't have time to do deep dives on people's psyches. But this guy is clearly, he's got a hard on for me, and that happens, and it happens with me a lot. When I say hard on, I don't mean he literally wants to fuck me in the ass. I say he wants to pick a fight with me no matter what. And there's too much of that. And listen, the harder you try to prove that you're smarter than somebody, the more you just show that you're insecure about how, I don't know, unsmart you are. I guess I got to prove that I'm smarter than you. Uh, so we're in that place, and it's kind of it's just there's no reason, and this is my new gonna be my new shtick because Tim Pool. Tim Pool stole my old shtick yesterday. I've been on that shtick for 5 years now. Um, but that's gonna be my new shtick. Now, my old shtick, if you're wondering what Tim Pool, because Tim Pool almost never says anything I agree with. But yesterday, he said, maybe it's time we look at why so many people want to be somebody else. He said young people. I don't think it's just young people. I think it's across the board. So and he said it in the context of the trans conversation that we are finally having after people have been in the closet for 10,000 years about their uncertainty and dysmorphia and all that kind of stuff. But the fact is, there are transformational coaches. On the evening program, I've interviewed at least 2 dozen people who build themselves life coaches, but transformational coaches, and they talk about transformation. Transformation, and again, this has been my mantra for like 5 years now, trying to get people to have this conversation. Transformation is not, I need to lose a few pounds. I need to, I don't know. I need to be more disciplined. I need to go to the gym and get in better shape. It's not I'm those little changes. Transformation is I want to be something completely different than I am now. I want to transform into something that I'm not. A lot of it has to do with our culture of cribs and money, 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 and showing off showing off the haves versus the have-nots, and a lot of that plays into the psyche of, I just wanna be somebody. Fame, fortune, I wanna be noticed. I want my life to count. I want people to think I'm somebody. They have A-list celebrities and blue check marks, and here I am, a nobody. I got no wealth. I got no blue check mark. I feel like a nobody. I wish I could transform into a somebody, whatever that is. Just so I could feel validated, like my life matters in some way. This is not funny stuff in the morning, is it? I'm sorry. These are the thoughts I have when I wake up because I go to bed angry at some dude I had to block because he's constantly looking for a fight with me. Good coffee. You got your coffee? We're sponsored by Koa Coffee. I'm going to bring Mike Vanderveen in just 1 second, but first I have to tell you about Koa Coffee. It's the best friggin' coffee on the planet, best coffee in the United States of America, one of the top 10 in the world, but actually it's number one. But Forbes rated in the top 10. But it's Forbes. They're biased. I think they're placating their advertisers because if they were telling the truth, Koa would be number one in the world. But they have Koa as number one in the USA, which is where I am. It's probably where you are. So get yourself some Koa coffee. That's all I got to say. This episode is brought to you by Koa Coffee. If you are a coffee connoisseur and want to experience the best coffee Hawaii has to offer, no blends, no compromise, try the true taste of aloha. Koa Coffee produces premium Hawaiian coffee, hand-picked, expertly roasted, and delivered from Hawaii to your door with aloha. From award-winning 100% Kona coffee grown on the slopes of the Mauna Loa volcano to the unique mocha beans of Maui, they strive to provide their loyal customers with the best quality and freshness. Since 1997, Koa Coffee has been known far and wide as a product of utmost quality, and their awards prove it. Koa Coffee was featured in Forbes' Top 10 Coffees of the World. This is the coffee Forbes called the best coffee in America. Find out what it's all about. Go to minddogtv.com/coffee. /coffee? minddogtv.com/coffee.
Mind Dog is your mind's best friend.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
He just said that. Okay. One more thing before I bring Mike in. We have a contest winner for the Doug Stanhope tickets. No good deed goes unpunished. I'm never going to try to do anything positive ever again because everything I try to do, it just ends up being a clusterfuck of extra work for me. So we put out a contest to win 2 days to go see Doug Stanhope do his taping at Rogan's mothership in Austin, Texas. Yesterday, after 3 days of trying, we finally got a winner, Frank Esoff. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Anyway, bought the tickets. We bought plane tickets for him and hotel room under the name, only to send him the information by email that he submitted, only to have it bounce back. Frank, if you're listening, we need a valid email address, or we have no way to get this information to you. And I'm not starting the contest all over again. I'm not going to declare this one void. So if Frank doesn't pick up the tickets, I don't know. I don't even know if I can undo all this stuff and put it in my name and just go. But I'm really getting beaten down by trying to do positive things, stuff that people might enjoy, and end up, with the egg on my face. Or, you know what? If this somehow falls through, I'm gonna give the tickets to Ian because Ian has been really wanting them. He's been trying hard. I know he clicked on every link on the website trying to find it, only to be confused by the process. I don't think the process was that confusing, but apparently some people had some trouble with it. But if this falls through, that's what I'm going to do. So, Ian, pray for Frank to not get me a valid email address. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, Mike Vanderveen from Dayton, Ohio, stand-up comedian and a musician, singer-songwriter. He's been with us before. He's got some things coming up that you should know about, and he's here now. Ladies and gentlemen, please open your ears, open your minds, and help me welcome back Mike Vanderveen to Coffee with the Dog. Good morning, Mike.
Hi, my name's it's actually Frank. My name's Frank now.
Oh,
I'll take those tickets. My email address is
wait a minute. Frank, you understand that you have to drive from Dayton, Ohio, where you really live, to because we bought the tickets out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So if you're going to fly there, you have to drive to Philly first. You understand that?
that's not too bad. That's not too
Not
bad.
too bad. I think it's
Pretty
like
tight with Rogue. He'll pay for it all.
I think it's like 12 hours. Well, I don't know.
From Dayton to Philly? Nah.
No.
Dayton to Philly. Hell, I'm about 4 hours from Pittsburgh. So from there,
Well, Pittsburgh is 8 hours from here.
really?
Yes. Yeah, I've driven to
Man.
Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh's an 8-hour drive from Long Island.
Really?
So yeah, I bet you Dayton. Well, we'll Google it later. We'll find out.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, man? What's new in your life? What's good in your life?
Man, things with comedy have been I've been focusing a lot on that. Obviously, music is still a big hobby of mine. I still do open mics for that and stuff on occasion. But comedy's been going really well. I finally got my first like feature spot. It's weird. It's not quite a feature. It's not quite a headlining spot, but it's a show that two of my buddies, they're both named Mike as well, Mike Wells and Mike Shea, also from Dayton. We got booked at a comedy club that just opened up about a year ago in Miamisburg, just south of Dayton. And yeah, it's called Three Mics and a Mic. We had the idea when I was doing their podcasts, all three of us named Mike. We go to open mics all the time. So the idea came through, and then somehow, some way, Mike Shea pulled through, got in touch with the guy that owns the comedy club. And yeah, we got booked for that show. It's finally coming up this Saturday. And aside from that, comedy's been going pretty well. I've kind of just been working hard, putting in all the open mics and polishing up all these jokes I've been working on for the last couple of years. And it's really exciting to know that I'm still in the early stages of it all, but it's really starting to pay off. I'm
Um,
starting to get noticed.
are there too many mics? Not open mics, Michaels. Are there because when I left the Rockin' 45s for a year and a half at one point, the band was all mics. It was 4 mics. Everybody in my contact, I would say 50% of my contacts in the world are mic. It used to be Joe Smith, John Smith. Now I think for some, I don't know, in the last 50 or 60 years, why everybody became named Michael. But if I were you, and I'm not saying that you should do this, but if I were you, if it were me, I'd change my name to anything, or just oh no, it's pronounced Mick, something like that, just to be. You feel like
So
you,
that's why I go like on stage as a comedian. I've been going by Vander.
Vander.
So that was
Yeah.
kind of because I agree. I got into the scene, and the first like 3 or 4 comedians that I met in Dayton were named Michael. I'm like, all right, well, I can't do that. This is a name that I actually took on in prison because also in prison, a lot of Mikes in there as well too. So,
Yeah.
uh,
I mentioned before you were even in the green room there that you were very open about you've had some troubles in the past and went to prison. How long were you in prison for?
I was in prison for 3.5 years of a 4-year sentence.
And that was for drug possession?
No, it was for aggravated robbery, but it was related to, being hooked on drugs.
Right. Now, I think I saw something in one of your reels where you were talking about 420 day, but saying that so you're pretty open about heroin and finding a way to deal with whatever past you have through humor, and I think that's the healthiest way to deal with the mistakes we've made.
Yeah.
But you said you don't smoke. Now I don't want to ruin the joke for people, but you say you're not a weed smoker, but you think there should be a 420 for or that type of holiday for heroin users.
Yeah.
Um, in Dayton specifically.
Yeah, that joke does pretty well in Dayton.
Yeah,
We're notorious.
Ohio has a bigger heroin problem than most of the world, most of the United States. Yeah, am I correct or incorrect in that?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. It is where Interstate 75 and Interstate 70 meet, which are like two, obviously, the biggest highways. in the country. And yeah, them meeting right there just north of Dayton causes a lot of that
Fascinating.
trafficking.
It's fascinating to me how we can have, because for years now we do have a heroin problem here, and we had an epidemic of losing young people in their 30s, like late 20s to early 30s, to fentanyl and all that kind of overdosing on heroin. But it's fascinating to me how we have geographical sections associated with drug use. We have meth users in the Southwest.
Yeah.
Ohio is there. Here was like heavily cocaine. But do you have any rationale or reason why that might be the case? You just seem to indicate it has to do with the interstates and the way the stuff comes up. I guess traffic, but
Yeah, that's how it became pretty convenient for the drug dealers and like, whether it be the cartel or sometimes people from the East Coast getting it to our city. But it's also just being like a very nowhere Midwest town. Like, I mean, Dayton's a city. Like it's a somewhat highly populated city, but everything outside of Dayton is just corn.
right.
So I think the boredom that comes with that also kind of leads people to experiment with drugs. So yeah.
Yeah. Uh, no, I don't know if you heard the rant I was on before you came in, but uh, this idea about, and I think this plays into what you're just talking about, boredom and all this stuff. People not happy with their lives, and there's a good conversation to be had there. Why that is, but I think it has so much to do with this culture of making your life meaningful. In other words, celebrities are looked at as something better than you and I. If you got a blue check mark, somehow your status symbol, you are a better person than I am. If you have money and fame, you're a better person than me. And I think once we start to believe that, that leads to us being unhappy and all. And I'm not trying to be Dr. Phil here, but I'm just trying to account for why we are at such a psychologically bad place. I know COVID had a lot to do with it, but everything that's going on in America. What's your take on that? Why so much unhappiness?
I agree with you that in this country we've like glorified this hustle game, this work 60 hours a week and just burn yourself out to make extra money. And it's, I don't know, it's a stem of capitalism and the way, just the way everything is. Like, we don't have society as much as we just have capital.
Right.
Everybody's, so it's all about money, 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 work, 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 money, 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 work, 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 and then that's it. All this consumerism, yeah, it's definitely doesn't
That
help that everybody's on their screens all day, every day either.
I am so glad you said consumerism, because I think, we argue about capitalism, we argue about communism, socialism. I think the biggest bugaboo in society is consumerism, is this idea that we need more stuff. George Carlin joked about it, a lot of people, but we value ourselves on stuff. Like, I
Yeah.
have so much stuff that if I lost tomorrow, I probably wouldn't even realize I lost it. But at some point, I thought I had to have it and spend money for it and needed it. Knickknacks and paddywhacks and bullshit. We caught up in, I need the latest, greatest thing. And it's just insane. How many guitars do you own?
I mean, I think I have 6, maybe 7.
Right.
Yeah.
How many do you play?
1.
Right. Me too. I don't know how many guitars I have. That's how many guitars I have. I play one acoustic and one electric generally. Like, every once in a while, I always take 2 electrics with me, but I almost never open the case for the second one. I have my gamer. But and then I looked around, and all these advertisements for guitar stores, and their shelves are packed. And then you see Facebook Marketplace full with guitars, and then you see pawn shops full with guitars. It's like, America, we have a gun problem, but is anybody checking into the guitar problem? Because there's just too many of them.
Yeah.
If I gave away every guitar that I don't use, I could probably put 30 or 40 guitar students through their education in music.
Imagine how many less mass shreddings we would have in this country if it wasn't for all the guitars, man.
I like it, Matt Shredding. I love it. Oh, good stuff. Um, so yeah, there's a little consumerism. I think is a big problem.
Yeah, definitely.
I
We've been brainwashed to think it too. Like, and now they've built everything that can be built. So now they're just coming after your free time. They're literally they're consuming your free. They're taking it from you with the TikTok videos. People that scroll all day, every day on
yeah.
TikTok. You know, some people 4 or 5 hours every day on these social media platforms. They've reached a point where they've capitalized on your spare time.
Right. Now, somebody yelled at me the other day for, they said, I don't know anything about addiction because I was talking about exactly what you're talking about. And uh, it is addictive. It is. And it's similar, as somebody who's been through the nightmare of heroin addiction. It probably sounds a little weird coming from me that I'm talking about this in the same terms as, heroin addiction, cocaine addiction, all those kind of things, alcohol addiction. But I do think that behavioral addiction it's still chasing the same false dopamine rush that,
Mhm.
I'm not really here for the content. I'm here for what it's going to make me feel, that buzz, and you just get addicted to it. Do you feel like that in some way disrespects what you've gone through? That me saying that?
Not at all. Because I firmly believe that when it comes to drugs, it's not nearly as much about the drugs itself as it is about. Uh, I two of the biggest ones is acceptance, like getting accepted by your peers. The first thing I ever got high off of was being liked and well loved by my friends and family. That's the first thing I ever got high off of. So I went to drugs because I felt like it made me feel more comfortable, more sociable. So it's either acceptance from people or covering up our own emotions. Like if we have lots of trauma going on, we use it to cover up. So it's not nearly as much about the drugs as it is about whatever it is that we're trying to obtain by taking the drugs.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that 100%. Now, uh, your experience in life in not going to prison, getting out of prison, because I have a friend who's in stand-up comedy who's done 10 years. And I'm curious about because the first day out of prison, and you're trying to say, okay, I learned my lesson. I'm going to turn my life around. I don't know if that happens the day you get out, or happens before you get out, or if ever for some people. But you want to make changes now. You want to have a better life, but and this is not an excuse. The deck is stacked against you the day you get out of prison. Right now, you're a con. You probably have very little money, if any at all. Like, how do you begin to put your life back together once you get out of prison?
For the most part, for me personally, I owe it to the support from my wife and my parents and the rest of my family, because they were obviously there to they gave me a place to stay, and then my wife and I ended up getting an apartment together. I was able to find work, but it was shit pay, like it was terrible work. But my wife worked full time as well, so she was able to help out on the financial side of things. So I owe it to that. And then I think generally speaking, the things that people go to the most is the government assistance. Because honestly, in the state of Ohio, people get out of prison and they at least get linked up with insurance. They can get linked up with halfway houses. They can get linked up with rehabs if that's what they need coming straight out of prison. Um, so I think the social programs in Ohio have actually helped out a lot. But me specifically, since I had my family, I didn't necessarily need it. And then I was very lucky within my first year of getting out. I realized I had a passion for working in drug and alcohol rehab centers. And they exclusively hire people with backgrounds and people with history of, substance abuse. So that's where I've been blessed. I know not everybody has that same blessing or same talent for working in a place like this, but
Right. No, I get it. We can't have everybody who's been through a drug situation end up being a drug counselor because then
yeah,
that would be the only job
yeah,
anybody in America
yeah,
is doing. Um, it's just interesting to me because so many people lack the focus to prioritize. Now, it's great that you had a family to support you and all that kind of stuff, and that can be really difficult if you don't have that. I mean, that makes it even more difficult. But you had this creative side to you, and you want to do things in comedy, and you're doing things in music and all that stuff. A lot of the people I see, especially comedians who have gone to prison, gotten out, and now are doing comedy, they don't prioritize. They don't have the patience to say, I gotta get my grounding underneath me, my footing underneath me, my foundation, my family, my home. I need to be able to support myself before I just go out there and just declare myself on the market for comedy and just I think I'm ready to tour. Yeah, been out of prison for a year now. I don't want to work a real job or have any money or support myself or have a car or any of that kind of stuff. I'm just ready to be a star. And it's just like, you know what? Sometimes, no matter, even though you feel like years got robbed from you and you don't have the luxury of time, patience is an extreme virtue, and knowing that you know what, you may be a little older, but you have to wait and do things the right way, and really have some, some place to fall back on, whether it's family, whether it's you build up your own place or whatever if you don't have a family. But you have to get your ducks in order, right? And it seems like you are doing that, but that seems the exception rather than the rule, because I see a lot of comedians who have done time who are just ready to run before they're walking. Well, you just get your comment on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I would have been capable of doing that because there was uh I know I did 4 years, which is not as long as a lot of people have done, but I did 4 years early on as an adult. Like I was 20 years old when I got locked up, 24 when I got out. So it was I wouldn't have been able to just, you know, rubber to the concrete, ready to go. I wouldn't have been able to do that because there was a long period of readjustment for me. Like technology came a long way just in the 4 years that I
Yeah.
was in there. Uh, I really didn't know how to be an adult. Like I was addicted to pills starting at like 17 years old, and from 15 to 17, I was high out of my mind on marijuana all day, every day. So I was still a teenager in my head. Like I kind of had to learn some of the qualities of being a grown man in prison. So when I got out and I didn't know how to scramble an egg. I didn't know I didn't know what to buy to scrub my toilet to clean it. Like I literally had to learn all this stuff when I got out
Wow.
of the joint. So it would not have worked for me if I would have just went straight to just hitting the road and not getting a real job, not getting a stable source of income. Like I would have been screwed because it would have been overwhelming, and I probably would have returned to drug use
Right.
immediately.
Well, let me ask you this, because in counseling, and you know this better than I do, but they will tell you people, places, and things, right? The people you see, the places you go, and the things you do. The things you do, and I'm not trying to discourage you at all. Please don't read that into this. The things you do and the places you go in comedy or in music are full of bad influences, full of bad temptations. As a counselor, you would probably tell somebody that's dangerous. Are you sure you want to do that? I'm assuming that. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. It's hard because sometimes I feel like I'm somewhat of a hypocrite that I'm going to these, bars every night where people are just getting drunk and obviously some of the comedians show up and they're high on like other drugs like coke and pills, and so yeah, it is somewhat hypocritical that like I'm
I
counseling
don't
these
know,
people about.
hypocritical, but yeah, I think you have to be extra strong
Yeah,
to deal with the temptations, and because I know you're a better man than I am, because I can guarantee you, if I were in that situation and put myself in that situation, I would fail. I might get through it like a couple of times, but because I just know myself.
yeah,
And I know my behavior patterns and all that stuff. I would be strong the first couple of times, but eventually I'd end up in a green room and somebody say, "Hey, you want a little of this taste?"
yeah,
Yeah, what can a little taste hurt, right?
yeah. Yeah, that's the mental obsession. Eventually, it just creeps in and tells us that we can do it again and not suffer the consequences. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's a lie.
I have your Facebook profile here. This is all like
Nice.
I don't. And the Twitter, I could put that in there too. In the description, people can click on it. You have been doing some reels and stuff like that. When you're doing that stuff, as a beginning, you're not really worried about burning material, right? You're just because what I see from the guys who are established, or guys and gals, please, if I say guys in comedy, don't think it's being sexist. I am sexist, but that's not being sexist. When I say guys, people in comedy who are more established, they're afraid of burning material, so all you see in those reels is crowd work. But you're doing
Yeah.
actual material. Are you any concern about that?
So somebody actually brought that up to me once I had started like posting videos. They asked me the same thing. Like, are you concerned that everybody's gonna already see what your material looks like? So you're worried they won't come to shows because they've already seen it. But being as new as I am, like those jokes, like yeah, I'm telling the same jokes, talking about the same premise, but I do so much polishing with that stuff. Like I'm still working on those jokes. Like I don't think I've posted the final product of any joke I've ever written because I'm still working on them in my head. And
Right.
then I think there's also a quality to doing all those jokes consecutively, like being able to, because those clips are only a minute, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. So I always feel proud of myself when I get a longer set, like I get a 15-minute set or a 20 to 25-minute set. Being able to put all those puzzle pieces together, I think
Right.
is also something like I'm not going to post a 30-minute show of me telling all those jokes at one time because obviously then people definitely wouldn't come out.
I don't
But
think I don't think I don't think people definitely wouldn't come out. And this is my take on this, and my 2 cents for whatever it's worth. And I could definitely be wrong about this. Could be just me, but I go to see comedians who I like, even if they've done material that I saw online. I still laugh at it because I'm in a comedy club, and it's
yeah,
still it feels fresh, even though I know the material. And there have been throughout my life, I have seen plenty of comedians and musicians. More and musicians died completely. You want to hear the hits, and that's
yeah,
the argument. You want to hear the hits, and I think there is some of that. I saw Mark Norman online in the real thing, and a
he's the
woman in the
best.
audience was requesting he tell
Yeah.
his
The one about his Trans Am?
yeah, being
Yeah.
brought up by a or raised as a guard with a trans person as a guardian, uh, but it was just that proved to me that validated to me that my belief is right. That people do want to hear the
Yeah.
hits, and whether you're a comedian or musician or whatever. They want it. They're okay with that,
That's
and I'm not. I think the idea of being afraid of burning material is just self paranoia. You got yourself
that's a
convinced.
super valid point, and as a musician, I'm very surprised I've never looked at it that way.
Yeah,
Because like, you're right, and it's like you go to open mics and you like, when I play an open mic, guitar-wise and singing-wise, I'm playing somebody else's song anyway.
right.
Like, they're still good songs, people like to watch me perform them, but I never thought about that, like and I've had comic, like, there's this brand new comic in Dayton that he just started going to these, 5-minute open mics. And first conversation I ever had with him, he said that every time he goes up, he tries different stuff. He tries to do a different 5 minutes. Like, what? There's
No.
comedians that do it for a year and only have a cumulatively 7 minutes worth of material. Like, you're gonna fail that way. Like, you have to polish these jokes up. Sometimes you'll do the same 5 minutes you did yesterday today. That you just switch one word to see if one word works different. Like, so
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
surprised I never thought of it like that.
I want to come back to your writing and how you do jokes, but I want to share this idea first. When I was a young man, I was a magician, which is the goofiest part of the arts world you could ever want to be in. And when if you don't ever want to get laid in your life, become a magician. That's all I can tell you. I mean,
I don't know.
unless you
Penn and Teller slay the pussy, dude. I don't care what anybody
they
says.
do.
I don't know. I really don't know at all. I assume so.
I don't know. Penn off stage is not an. Well, Paul Provenza would argue with me that he is a nice guy, but to me, he has not been a nice guy. But where was I going? Oh, Al Baker. When I was a young man as a magician, going back to what you said about the guy doing different material every time. Al Baker, who was an old sleight of hand guy, when I was 20, he had to be 70, but he was from the old school sleight of hand close up guy, and he said to me, "You know the difference between a professional and an amateur? Professional gets paid. That's people tell you. What a professional will do, tried and tested material for new audiences consistently, but a well established act that he has polished and performed over the years and has perfected it, where an amateur will go to the magic shop every week and have to buy a new trick to perform for his family and friends. So it's the same crowd, you just have to bring new
Okay.
material for them all the time. And that stuck with me. It's like, yeah, that is true. Whether you're talking about arts and plays, actors, anything, once you become established, people love when everything seems perfect and it is well rehearsed but doesn't feel rehearsed, because you have the ability, having done it so many times, to make it feel natural in the moment, which comedy has to be. It's like people can't think you're doing rehearsed material. They have to feel like, wow, he just thought of that.
Yeah.
What a funny guy. And so that whole idea about doing tried and tested, perfected material for new audiences makes you a professional, and doing the same old bits for your same friends and same people who come to see you 100 times is the mark of an amateur. And
Yeah.
that idea is stuck with me completely.
Yeah.
Now,
No, that's a great outlook. I'm very surprised we never thought of it in that
yeah.
light.
So now, what you talk about writing and perfecting, what, because I'm going through this right now. I'm going to be doing some stage time doing stand up and writing a piece, and I write it out in longhand. I'm not. This is not my preferred way, but it's the only, because I listened to George Carlin about how he wrote stuff, and that went down. But it doesn't sound like that's what you're doing. It sounds like you come up with an idea, going out to an open mic, testing it out, going home and saying what worked there and what didn't work. What is your process for material?
So it really just kind of it comes out of nowhere. Like I'll be at work or I'll be at home playing video games or at a friend's house just having a conversation, and I'll say something or they'll reply to something that I said, and it'll hit me like, oh wow, that's actually kind of funny. I'm gonna try to find a way to make that into a joke. So I've got a million premises in a note, like a note app on my phone. I've got like a million premises on there, a lot of which I'm never gonna go back to. But when a premise comes to mind, I write that down, and then I just let life do its thing, and all the punches and stuff come to me over time. But mainly, most of my material is going to be about drugs, prison, recovery. Uh, so really, I'm up there telling stories for the most part.
Right.
So I've never really like sat down and tried to write jokes.
Wow.
I take note of things that happen when they happen and hope to one day make it into a bit.
Complete 360 from yesterday. Jonathan Flanagan was with me yesterday. Is it 360 or 180? It's the opposite.
180. 360 would mean he's just right
back,
back where he
we're
was.
back. We're right back here. Yeah. Well, it's early. Come on, cut me some slack. Jonathan Flanagan, who has been in the game a long time, he has, and I love this idea because he talked about, forget open mics. We do not forget them; they're important, but we don't do, for the purposes of material, don't do open mics. We do closed mics. A group of constructive minded comedians who are friends, who will help you collaborate and help you punch stuff up, help you decide what's working and what's not working in writers groups, or and I love the idea of collaborative, supportive, but what I see mostly is backbiting, and it's hard to find people you can trust and really be friends with, and trust their feedback as not thinking I'm in competition with you, so I don't
Yeah,
really want to. But I love
definitely.
that idea of collaborating in a trustworthy and supportive type of closed network type of thing. And I was just surprised to hear him say that. Do you have any of your comedian friends, the other two mics maybe, or anybody in your circle that you feel like you bounce ideas off of and can trust them like that? Not to steal your material and not to lie to you about the
Yeah.
effectiveness of it.
So yeah, actually, we got a group chat between me and the other two mics that we're doing the show with this Saturday, and yeah, we do that a lot. It's mostly them because they're more like one liner, like joke writers type of comedians. So they'll text a thread and tell a joke, and then the other two of us will kind of give feedback on it, like, is it good, is there something there? So yeah, there's definitely that source of communion when it comes to helping the other writers. For me though, I get more feedback. We do a podcast, the Basement Lounge, on Tuesday nights with those two Mike that I was telling you about, and I'll just be talking, like, we'll just be having a conversation about whatever, and then, like, I'll say something and I'll be like, you could make that into a joke, and I pull out my phone and throw it in on the notes app. And we also, it's in Cincinnati, which is pretty close to Dayton. It's only about half an hour. They have a feedback mic at Go Bananas Comedy Club. I believe that's on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. That a lot of comics go to that, and it's like Jonathan said, more of a closed mic, but they just call it a feedback mic, where some of the vets like Blake Hammond and Lee Kimbrell will be sitting in the audience, and yeah, they'll take notes as somebody's doing their set and give them good ideas for punches and tags.
What you just said there, I made me stop and chuckle a little bit. Go bananas! The comedy club name thing is like, I mean, I would love to have like a social media contest. Name the next comedy club, because the names become more and more ridiculous every day. You're like, you want to brand it as something people know that it's about humor and laughter and all that stuff, but all the good names seem to be taken. And I'm not disparaging Go Bananas. I think that's fine, but it strikes me as
Yeah,
every time I see one, it's just like, well, they're trying.
they're definitely trying. There's one in downtown Indianapolis called Crackers.
Crackers, yeah.
So that's notorious.
Is
But
it
what's
only white people?
I hope not. God, I hope not. But the catch, what's funny is they do an open mic there and they tell you have to be clean. You have to be a clean comic. I'm like, your name is Crackers. How are you going to tell me that I need to be clean? So
Wow.
I guess it's because they're looking for people to book to like host and stuff.
No,
But
no, I don't. I don't think I've heard you do anything that I would consider dirty, right? You do stuff that is adult, it's prison
yeah.
and drug humor, but that which is adult themes. But you're not up there like dropping f-bombs constantly, right? So, would you consider yourself a clean comic?
Yes and no. I think there's a fine line between clean and family friendly.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm definitely, none of the things I talk about are very family friendly. I maybe have 3 minutes worth of jokes that are considered family friendly. But yeah, you're right. I don't really cuss a whole lot. I have one joke where I've said fuck a couple times, but it's just because I'm saying that I did 4 years in prison and nobody even tried to fuck me the whole time. Uh,
Wow, boy, that would definitely fuck with my self-esteem. What do
that's
you?
the joke too. I'm like, I've always thought I was a pretty handsome guy, man. They wouldn't even look my way.
I can't even get raped in prison.
Right.
Holy
I
crap!
say I would drop the soap like on purpose. I would volunteer to pick up other people's soap. They didn't like that.
Yeah, I got to go here. And I'm not doing this to argue with you, but or defend my friend. I just want to have this conversation in a real clean and honest way. Yeah, I saw you fucking with my friend Walt the other day, Uncle Walt, because
Yeah.
he's talking about comedians who bring phones and notes up on stage, and I kind of ride the fence here because I understand new material. I understand. I've seen your point that you made on there. The guys who have been in, again, guys, people who have been in the game for a long time still do it. I saw Mark Norman do it at the stage in Lower Manhattan. I forget the name of it, but so there is this point where young people are doing it because they it's a crutch, newcomers, and older people do it at showcases when they're working on new material. But I have to say, from an audience perspective, it's a reminder of what I said before. You want the audience to feel like this is spontaneous. It's not rehearsed. It's not material. You're just talking. You're just being you on stage. That from the audience perspective at a comedy show, that's the idea you want in the back of your head, whether it's true or not. That suspension of disbelief is what makes a movie work. You know how you this can't be real. You know that logically, but you suspend your disbelief in order to go along with the ride. When a comedian's on stage, you like to think that this is the first time he's ever had that thought. And
Yeah.
so it is a little off-putting for the audience members, but it's also I understand that it's crucial to growth, and sometimes if you're going to try out new stuff specifically in a showcase. So maybe it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth there, but so to the point about bringing notes on stage, for me, I'd rather not see it. I'd rather see a comedian on stage doing stuff making me feel like this is the first
Yeah.
time they've had that thought. But and sometimes when I see them going to notes, that thought that gets taken away, and I realize, oh yeah, they're doing material. If it's good, I'll still laugh. But for me, it takes something away from it. Not that I'm saying, as Lord of the comedy world, don't do that. I just feel like there's a place and time for it, and different areas of the ladder where it's appropriate. And even after you've made it to the big time, there are still places where it's appropriate. But for the most part, I would try to stay away from it if I could. Your thoughts?
There's definitely, I mean, there's definitely some truth to that. I won't, I, I wasn't trying to 100% discount what he says. I was mostly just trying to have some fun. And I think I did. I think I made him a little upset. He like blocked me and everything. But
He blocked you?
yeah,
I'm gonna have
either
to have
that
a
or he
talk
deleted
with
the
him.
post. One of the, well, yeah, I can't click on his profile. I can't go
I'm
to
gonna
it.
have to have a talk with him about that. Now you gotta have a thick
Which
skin in comedy.
I was having fun. That's all it was.
Even if you were giving him shit, you gotta have a thick skin in comedy. You have to be able
Yeah.
to take when people are fucking with
Oh no,
you.
I was absolutely busting his balls,
Yeah.
but mainly because Mike Wells, one of the other two mics on the show this weekend, he's a one-liner comic. Like he's one of the best in Ohio for one-liner jokes, and he has his notes on stage with him. But and I won't spoil it, he has a way where he brings the notebook into his bit. Like it's a part. It's like a prop. It's prop comedy and one-liner comedy.
Well, I had said that when talking about that. The Stand is the place in Lower Manhattan where I saw Mark Norman just came to me. But after I had that show, I had like a revelation that it. Oh, no, it wasn't that show. It was Sam Talent was at a place in Brooklyn, Union Hall, and all the openers for him. He had. I wouldn't call any one of them a feature. I'd call me at 5 openers people who did 5 minutes a piece, but they all brought their phones up for 5 minutes. And my revelation was, I would make it a joke. I would find when I needed to look at the phone, I would find a way to incorporate the phone into a bit and saying, "Oh yeah," you do a joke about phone stuff so that you could actually look at your phone and actually mime that you're dialing or something, doing texting or whatever as part of the joke to give you an excuse to look at the phone. So the phone becomes part of a joke that gives you whenever you
Yeah,
feel like you need to look at the phone, go to the bit about the phone. You know what I mean? So it covers all that stuff. But
yeah.
yeah, no, Walt. I just gonna. He's a beginner comedian. He just finished his first year. Good guy. Um, but a lot of people take his PSAs as if he's coming off a mountain trying to say this is this is
Yeah.
my expertise. I think, and I had a conversation with him about this. He's just documenting his experience in comedy, hoping to share some knowledge of what he's going through, and for other people who are a step behind him. I don't think he's trying to come off as like an
Yeah,
expert.
I don't think
Yeah.
he was either. And like, I mean, I'm not gonna sit on here and like apologize for hurting feelings or anything like that. Like he's a
No,
grown
no.
man. Like he can do
Yes.
whatever he wants. If he wants to block me, that's fine. I really don't care. But I wasn't like I wasn't at all punching down on what he believes. I was just cracking the joke. It was mostly an opportunity for me to give shit to people who put comedian as part of their Facebook name.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
again, I was just having fun. I was just having
no, I get it, and I don't think anything wrong with what you did or how you went about it. Uh, uh, but I do think there is maybe social media is not the place for this, but there is some value in being able to have these conversations without getting ready to block somebody just because they have a different idea than you do, or and not necessarily taking everything. Like I had to block a guy last night because somebody said this is how bizarre this gets on social media. Somebody said pancakes or waffles, and another guy replied, "Fuck choosing. I'm eating what I want." And my comment was, "Well, if you eat what you want, aren't you choosing?" And then some guy who doesn't like me because I get more attention from his personal little clique that he's in than he does, and he's been part of that clique for 12, 15 years or something, and he's jealous about that. But he wanted to make a point that, oh well, if a gay guy likes men, are they choosing to like men? I said, no, they don't choose, but they choose which men they like. And this is what that conversation was about: waffles or
right.
pancakes. You're choosing, and the guy's saying, "Well, I'll eat what I want." Well, you are making a choice. He wanted to make a war out of choice and want not
You wanted to
being the
bring
same
gay
thing,
people into it for no reason.
right? And it's just like, I don't need to have a war about the difference between want and choose, and like if I said hello. It's, oh, well, how do you, what are you being nice to? It's looking for a reason to give me an
Yeah.
argument. Everything I say, I could say, hey, good day, Mike. Oh, it's not a good day. How dare
Well,
you call it a good day?
you've got gay people, you've got bisexual people, you've got pansexual people. When it comes to pancakes and waffles, I consider myself maybe griddle pansexual.
Yeah.
Anyone will do.
Polyculinary, I think is the word. uh, so now, before we move on to the next part of this conversation, the name of the comedy club again with the three mics in Dayton and the date.
It's Bricky's Comedy Club, April 29th. Tickets
That's
are on
tomorrow.
sale
No,
2 days from
Saturday.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This Saturday, April 29th. Bricky's Comedy Club. Tickets on sale. They're 15 apiece at brickiescomedy.com. And the show is in Miamisburg, Ohio, downtown Miamisburg, which is just about 15 minutes south of Dayton, Ohio.
If you can remember, when we get off the air, go on Facebook and text me the link to where they can buy tickets. I'll put it in the description for the people who come on after, which is the largest segment of the people who watch this on demand rather than live. I will put that in the description so people can get it there.
Cool.
Hopefully you'll do good. Now the music stuff. I know you put that kind of a little bit on the back burner and are concentrating on music, but I'm first of all, you're a writer, right? You do write your own material, yes?
Yes. Yes, I
Yes.
do.
Where would you? I hate to do this, put you in a box. Where would you say stylistically your music falls into? Is it folk? Is it country? Is it rock? What is it?
Uh, Acoustic indie folk type genre. There's this guy named Andy Hall. He is the frontman for a band called Manchester Orchestra out of Atlanta, Georgia. I've fallen in love with their music as a band. They're like an alternative indie rock band. But he does this solo project. It's called Ride Away, Great Captain. And it's all acoustic. It's all storytelling acoustic. Uh, so yeah, I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff. I don't. I like to use a lot of figurative language, metaphorical language when I'm writing my lyrics. So yeah, poetic, intelligent, acoustic indie.
Manchester Orchestra is playing here this summer. I saw them listed yesterday, and I assumed they were from Manchester, England. They're from
No,
Georgia?
they're from Atlanta, Georgia. So the front man, when he was 17 years old, he was highly influenced by those bands from all the way between 80s and 90s from Manchester, England.
Right.
I think like the Shins, bands like that influenced him a lot, and that's what got him into music. So that's where he got the name from. And he called himself an orchestra because his original plan was to obviously be the front man, but have like an orchestra of other people, like not the same band members for
That
like every
I
show and
can
every
tell you
record.
as the guy who did that in his youth, you might as well, and this is a joke, YouTube. You might as well get a gun and just stick it in your mouth now. Musicians, like we talked about comedy and how people can be backbiting and competitive and all that stuff. Musicians getting and Timothy B. Schmidt, who was with the Eagles and Poco, said all bands are on the edge of breakup at all times. Musicians are the weirdest fucking people, and hard. It's really hard to keep a two-piece from fighting or just disagreeing or just being like too crazy for each other. You get a three-piece, it becomes even more difficult. I led a 13-piece band when I was 20 years old, and this is probably the worst decision I ever made. It's just like you got to keep it small in
Yeah,
order to keep it manageable. The Beatles were together for 8 years or something, 9 years, and they were a four-piece, and they ended up hating each other.
yeah,
If they were a three-piece, they might have lasted another 2 more years. That's Simon and Garfunkel were a two-piece. They ended up hating each other.
hating each other.
Phil and Don Everly were brothers and ended up
Oh
hating each
man,
other.
Crosby, Stills, Nash, Young,
Yeah,
like
everybody. I mean, I think musicians are crazier
yeah,
than comedians, and I also think, which it's good to talk to somebody like you who is got one toe in each pond here a little bit, about, because I spend most of my life comparing my life in music to my life in comedy, and the differences and the similarities and all those kinds of things. It's striking that how similar they are and how different they are at the same time. Uh, the discipline of that. Now, writing lyrics. We talked about your writing comedy, and you don't really like write it out longhand. With your lyrics, what is the process? Is it different than your
y-
comedy writing?
yeah, 100% different. Like the opposite. I'm more like your buddy Jonathan that you mentioned earlier, where I usually get the guitar part down first. Like I'll find the construction of chords, the way I want to play them, the little licks within it. I get the instrumental part of it down first. And then yeah, I'll record the instrumental part. I'll put some headphones on. I'll let like the part of a verse. It's more mathematical for sure. I'll let the verse play on loop through my headphones while I think of words that I think would fit, while I think of a melody. A lot of the times the melody comes before the lyrics. Like I'll hum it along to the loop of the verse or the chorus or the bridge, and then come up with the words after. So yeah,
Uh,
for that
i-
it's a much more uh, mathematical experience.
is rhyming important to you?
I try to do it when I can, but I have realized that when it comes, especially to the kind of music that I write, it's not super important because I'm not writing like catchy, poppy type hits or anything
I
like
think
that.
even if you were writing something for radio pop, and maybe this is how disconnected I am from radio pop, I don't think it matters that much. Justin Hawkins writes again, again. He has a from the darkness. He has a YouTube channel where he basically talks about other people's music, and one of the pet peeves that drives him nuts is bad rhymes or rhymes that he doesn't think uh like are absolutely dead on rhymes, like I don't know, just a close enough sounding rhyme, and that drives him crazy, and he picks it apart as a songwriting thing, and I'm like, to me, the emotion and the meaning of the lyrics far outweigh whether it's a perfect rhyme or not. And I think we get caught up in that, I don't want to call it childish, but it's what makes, it appealing to children is the simplicity of rhymes makes things easier to
Yeah.
remember. But for me, I'd rather feel it. I'd rather feel the singer's pain or his joy or whatever. I'd rather feel the emotion he's trying to than really be hyper focused on. Well, that doesn't rhyme. Where
Yeah.
how dare you have an off rhyme like that, or you rhyme you with you? How you rhyme the same word with the same word? And now I could understand if I were anal retentive being bothered by that, but so what's your take on that? Do you agree with me, or are you do you think it? Because you mentioned pop, if you were doing pop, you would think it would be more necessary to focus on rhyme.
Perhaps because you're more pandering to a simplistic audience of
Yeah, yeah.
listeners. So I mean I agree with you 100% that that's pretty much the only time that it would ever matter. But yeah, I agree with you also that it doesn't matter all that much.
Yeah, no. To me, I now instrumentally was when you were writing stuff and you work with loopers, as you say, or create a loop, whether you're working with a looper or not, or just like recording something and having play it back on a loop. It's just the same thing. Um, Technology wise, are you embracing technology as a music tool or not?
I try to. I just don't know a whole lot about it. But I use GarageBand on this old Mac from like 2011 that my wife's
Nice.
had for years. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I record through. I actually use this mic for it. The guitar that I use to record doesn't even hook up electrically. I literally just put like the whole of the guitar right up to the mic and record the guitar part that way and listen to
That's
it
the
over and over
best
again.
way to record acoustic guitars. Listen, people put pickups in guitars and all that stuff, and they've made great advances with that, but it always ends up sounding electric
Yeah.
to some extent. The best way to record an acoustic instrument is with a microphone up to the audio
Mhm.
footprint. And I love that. And so even if you do get an acoustic that has a pickup in it, keep doing it the way you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes it sound a lot deeper and clean and
It's
yeah,
rich
raw.
and a true representation of the instrument rather than the other, because electric guitar and acoustic guitar really should be looked at as two separate instruments. They're
Yeah.
not the same. And maybe I'm getting on a soapbox here. I'll stop. Yeah. So I think we've covered it pretty much all here. Are you're pretty much excited for Saturday night now? My friend Will, he's kind of he's thinking short term in terms of one show, like looking to make a big splash with one show, getting too high for one show, too, and I'm not talking about drug high, but too emotionally high for the importance of one show, and not really taking a look at a game plan for where I want to go with my art, if that makes any sense at all. So basically, I got a gig this weekend. This is going to be great. This is going to launch my career, or I'm going to win a contest, and all of a sudden, I'm going to be on Showtime or whatever. This idea of short term thinking versus long term thinking. Do you put any long term thought into where you're going, or strategize your plan for success in comedy?
I've actually just recently in the last maybe 4 or 5 months thought a lot about what kind of goals I have and I'm all for being goal oriented. I have short term goals. I want to feature for headlining comics at least maybe 2 or 3 times before the end of 2022. A feature usually means a 15 or a 20-minute set. Because I've done guest spots, I've been a host, so feature would be that next step.
Right.
So that's a pretty tangible short-term goal for by the end of the year, and then
Yeah.
long-term, I do. It's more of a dream than a goal because it's really just if I keep doing what I'm doing, it's either going to happen or it's not going to happen. But I just want to be able to uh, have my income be 100% supplemented by by doing stand-up comedy?
I don't think it's a dream. I think if you strategize it, it sounds like a dream to a lot of people. If you and I love that because I almost posted something very similar to that because we hear the phrase "making it," and what most people mean when they say "making it" is have be rich and famous.
Yeah,
That's what
the
they
big
mean
time,
when they
yeah.
say making it. To me, making it means you can support yourself doing what you love. You've made it. You've really and if you can pay your bills and take care of your family and put food on the table and a roof over your head and do what you love, I don't care if nobody ever hears your name. You are the biggest success of your life is a complete success, and
Yeah.
you should celebrate yourself every single day because are you are not that person that we talked about in the beginning who wants to transform into somebody else. You are completely happy with the life you've created for yourself. That's how I would define making it. So
Yeah.
congratulations on that. I'm glad to hear you say that. Sounds like
Thank you, man.
Sounds like you're on a good path, and I hope you. I wish you great success with all of it, and anything I can do to support you in that. I just want to say, Ian says I am a success. Well, good for you, Ian, and we love you for that. But I want to bring up his other comment because I'm going to say this. Ask him which transducer to buy for a 1950s baritone ukulele. First of all, I would buy a fireplace and put that ukulele in it, put some lighter fluid on it, and then you don't have to worry about what transducer to buy. Ukulele, there's an I mentioned the guitar problem. There is an epidemic of ukulele addiction in America, and we need to do something about it because they put that friggin' high string on the top to throw me off, and I don't like the instrument. Let's get rid of
Write
it.
your senators, write your congress people. We need to get this taken care of. I
Yeah,
agree.
you know what? Play a fucking kazoo. Get rid of the ukulele and play the kazoo. That's my. I'm sorry. Did I just offended half of America with that statement?
Not the kazoo players, though. Kazoo players love to hear you say it.
I think they're all dead.
Probably. I haven't
I
seen a kazoo since 1993.
I used to be a badass kazoo player in grammar school. I was badass kazoo player. I would drive the teachers nuts because the one thing you could do with a kazoo is ba 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 ba, make it seem like it's a trombone, and you can drive people absolutely out of your mind with that. One more comment from Ian. Baritone uke is tuned like the last four strings of a guitar. It's cool. Okay. I did not know that. My ukulele knowledge has been corrected. Uh, but he says ukuleles can rock out. Listen, Mike, I appreciate you being part of the program. Wish you all the success in the world. Send me the information. We'll help to promote it. And at some point, consider taking, because I'm starting to try to put together some shows here. Think about this as part of your future plans. Long Island, New York, Brooklyn, New York, maybe even some of the spots in Manhattan. If I can help you do that as a kind of next step in, of feeling your way out of the Dayton area, I would love to be a part of that and help you out. And we wish you great success, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. I look forward to it.
All right. Have a great day and keep on the right path, my friend.
Bye, everybody.
Bye for now. Vander. I'm going to call him Vander because Mike Vanderveen, but that's what he's using on stage. And I think that's a smart move. There are a lot of mics. Oh, Craig says he was listening to Mind Dog Radio on the app this morning. I guess Craig's and Andrew. I think I have not checked. We should be in the Apple store today. I believe we are. I have to post that link so people can actually get. Um, oh yeah, Craig just has sent me listening to Mind Dog Radio in the car. I love that. We have lots of car traffic now, and I'm loving that. But I do have to post the link to in the Apple Store. If people want to find that and verify that it is available, I will. I'll check my email today. I probably have a message saying that the app is now available in the App Store as well as Google Play. Now, are those the only two fun? Educate me here, folks, you people in the chat room, and I appreciate everybody being here. It's been a little bit quiet the last couple of days in the chat room. There's just Android and iOS, right? I mean, all those other phones, Windows phones and Palm Pilot and all that shit has gone away. Yes or no? I don't know about this stuff. Um, um, oh, it's a weird echo. Uh-oh. I got to deal with that. Thanks for letting me know. You know what? Maybe it's just today that there's a weird echo. Maybe it's this. If we do this and this. I don't know if you're on it now, but maybe the echo might have gone away. Fuck up. I'm a fuck up. I'm doing this audio engineering all by myself here, which is a problem. I definitely have to get some audio engineers. Uh, Greg says he can't wait for the BlackBerry app. Now, BlackBerry has been gone for like 20 years, right? Am I wrong, or am I wrong about that? Used to be like only people who used their phone strictly for business had Blackberries, right? I don't know, but I'm just curious because that's what the apps developers. Um, what I just John says I just pirate the episodes as Nokia ringtones. That's a long ringtone. Every ring will take an hour and a half or more. Interesting, interesting stuff. Tomorrow, well, last night I canceled the show. I wasn't feeling well and just wasn't up to dealing with what could have been a bandwidth nightmare having an interview because I've gone through it before with Richard Lynch, who was the scheduled guest, and just not feeling it. So I canceled last night. Tomorrow, I don't have a guest scheduled, and I'm thinking because I was cutting up some reels from the program. Last week, I did a nighttime interview with Henry Phillips, and most of the morning people have not seen that. I think there's some value for the morning show. I did it as a morning show, even though it was in the evening. And Henry was like, you're not fooling anybody with that. Yeah, no, I'm not fooling anybody. I'm fooling myself. But we did it as a coffee with the dog at 8 p.m. at night, and being a little silly about how my coffee tasted like vodka and cranberry juice and that kind of stuff. But I might rerun that episode tomorrow. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll be with you. I don't know. I guess there's only one way to find out, and that would be to tune in. Are you so brave that you are willing to tune in? Anyway, the stuff with Henry always brings some really not just laughs and good time, but some really important insights. He just opened. I don't want to give too much away. Just opened for Robert Klein. You know what? When I brought up Robert Klein a couple of months ago, got a whole bunch of people because made the statement that I've made often, which some people might feel is sacrilege. I believe Robert Klein, in my book, in my opinion, in my fandom, belongs on the Mount Rushmore of comedy. He one of those people who took stand up from the old school of whatever it was when Carlin was doing it's straight lace and tie stuff. He took that to the new era of what stand up comedy became, which is the storyteller, the philosopher, the idea sharer, the person with commentary on the human condition, rather than a guy just going up there and telling jokes, which what stand-up comedy was before the age that Carlin and Pryor and Robert Klein and people like him, Mort Saul, Lenny Bruce, I mean, if you want to go back a little further, took it to a different place. And so I think Klein belongs on that. But I got so much negative feedback, people who never heard of Robert Klein, which really, really saddens me because go check out his special, Man of the 50s, Child of the 50s, Man of the 80s, which was obviously done in the 80s. Great special. Robert Klein, one of the most talented people ever, in my opinion, as far as, you talk about triple threat. He's an actor, he's a musician, singer, songwriter, comedian first, stand-up comedian first, or maybe doo-wop singer first. If you watch that special, you probably get that. But so Henry was talking about his experience with Robert Klein, and I've been trying to get Robert Klein on the program for a while. He keeps putting me off. Last time I contacted him, he said he was not feeling well and I should try again later. At some point, you get tired of trying again later. I'm not one of these guys who likes to be a pest. Oh, remember you said, I ask you once if you say try again, maybe I'll try again, but I don't want to keep trying until I feel like I'm being a burden to you and then have to make excuses I'll feel bad for even asking. So it's probably doubtful I was going to get Robert Klein on this. So Henry Phillips was the closest thing I'm ever, because he had one conversation with him in a green room. That's probably as close as I'm going to get to having a conversation with Robert Klein, which I would really love to do. John Pavaramo had him on Dystopia Tonight for 2 hours. And that maybe having conversations with John is the closest I'll ever get to that. But really still hopeful that maybe he might reach back and say, okay, I'm feeling better. I'm ready now. Probably not likely at 81 years old is what he is now. Anyway, your thoughts and comments are always appreciated. Info@minddogtv.com. Once again, we do have a winner in the Doug Stanhope taping prize, but there's a big but here. Frank from Allentown, Pennsylvania, who now we have tickets in your name. We have all that stuff. We have hotel accommodations in your name. We try to email the information to you, and the email bounces back. So, Frank, if you're listening, if you really want to cash in on your prize, you want to take advantage of the prize that you obviously spent hours clicking on links on minddogtv.com to find, if you want to make that worth anything, either call me today, 631-496-6464, or send me an email that works. Ian, if you're listening, pray for Frank not to get in touch with me, because if Frank doesn't get in touch with me, I will find a way to change the reservations and the tickets to your name. Now, I probably just have to cancel the flight out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and schedule it from Denver or wherever Ian is. But the hotel room would be an easier switch over, just changing the name on it. But so if Frank doesn't get in touch with me I'm going to have to put a deadline on this, right? What should the deadline be? Next Friday? That still gives you time to make arrangements. Let's do it next Wednesday, to be fair. Frank, get in touch with me by next Wednesday with a legitimate email that works. I hope he's listening. Frank, are you still listening? And we will get you the information. If not, Evil Ian is going to get to go, and he'll be bringing like glass statues and glass stuff to the mothership. He might be able to contact the aliens. So this is the reason we don't. And it probably being a big old baritone ukulele on the plane. Well, it just be like it ruin it for most of society to have Ian going. But this is the case. If you don't get in touch with me by Wednesday, Ian's going to be the man. You got that? Okay. Thanks for being part of the show today. Again, tomorrow's iffy. It's either Henry Phillips and me as a replay, or I'll be with you. The only way you know is to turn on your radio. Bye for now. Turn on your radio.
listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now.